Ladies and gentlemen, look at this fantastic problem that we have here. We're still solving for the trinomial to factor them with a not equal to 1. All right, so we end up with ax to the third power plus 6x squared minus 9x. All right, so when we look at problems all the time when it comes to factoring, and I would say this, and I will keep on saying it also in other videos, is that you always trying to figure out if there's anything in common for all the terms. So you have 1, 2, 3 terms. Is there anything in common for them that you can pull out? Because if you do, it's making your life a lot easier, okay? In this case, that's what's gonna happen, where we have x in common for all these 3 terms. So we end up with x out, and then we have 8x squared plus 6x minus 9, all right? So x is the greatest common factor, so we have GCF for this whole problem. So you work out the greatest common factor first. Now what do we have left inside? Ax squared plus bx plus c. So this is the trinomial that we're looking for with power, the highest power, which is 2. Okay, now we can go ahead and then apply the AC method now. So the AC method, we take the a, which is 8, and then we take the c, which is negative 9, we multiply them together. So we end up with negative 72. Your multiplication tables, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot stretch that, more and more. That's very important. Now we got to find factors of negative 72. Where you multiply, that will give you negative 72. When we add them up, gives you what? Positive 6. Okay? So what could be those numbers? So automatically, so we already know 8 and 9, right? We don't need to put it, because we know that when we add or subtract, we're not going to get 6. All right? So other numbers that we can have, so many different ones that we can come up from these, okay? So it could also be 2 and 36. For example, anywhere where you can going to add or subtract 2 and 36 to give you positive 6? No. Okay? So you can also talk about 12 and 6. Okay? Anywhere where you're going to add up or subtract to give you 6? Yeah, okay? But then which one is going to be the negative, the other one the positive? It's going to be negative for the 6 because the highest number is going to carry the sign of the sign. So, the positive or negative, then that's what it's going to depend. So in this case, this one is positive 6, so it's better to keep 12 with the positive sign, okay? So now we multiply 12 times negative 6, we get negative 72. When you add them up, you get positive 6. So there are other factors, but this one we work out. Okay? So let's go. Now, we got an x that you can always carry, or you can just, mute it and then bring all the way down if you want to. But at this point, I'm going to just carry that with me. Okay? So that we don't forget about it. But in other cases, like I said, you can always mute it and then bring it all the way down to the final answer if you're not going to forget. All right? But in this case, let's keep it with us. So what's going to happen? Then we have 8x squared plus 12x minus 6x minus 9. Okay? So the middle term becomes 12x minus 6x because when you add them up, you end up with positive 6x. Now we're going to split them in 2. Like we did before, by using the factoring by grouping, and then carry out the greatest common factor. So the GCF here also, again, so the x is still there. Now what will be the greatest common factor for 8 and 12? Okay, that will give us 4, because 4 is the highest number that can go into 8 and 12 evenly. So that will give us 4 for the numbers. And then what about the variables? So for x squared and x, what will be the greatest common factor? It's going to be x. So x out. So it's going to give us 2x plus, then because divide by 4x, divide by 4x. Now if you become an expert, you don't have to do this. You can see it already happening. So this one give us what? 3, because xx we cross out. Okay? Now when you come to this side here, minus, what will be the greatest common factor for 6 and 9? It's going to be 3. Sorry, so it's going to be negative 3 and no x because you don't have x here. Okay, so x cannot be your common factor. So then you divide by 3 and 3, then you end up with 2x positive, and then this one also, because negative 3, let's don't forget about the sign, And then this one will give us positive 3. All right? So we keep on carrying the x. All right? So we end up with greatest common factor for this. It's going to give us 2x plus 3. Then whatever we have left in front of the parentheses, these two here, we have 4x minus 3. And then we end up with the solution here with the x. All right? So this is how we solve for such a problem here. And then it's not difficult, but the most difficult thing when it comes to this problem is to see that, to check and see that there's a greatest common factor x for all the 3 terms. So always when you have a problem to deal with when it comes to factoring, you always have to look at the greatest common factor. All right?